So I'm just trying to get my head around the shelf pins for the bookcase sections. This is the left side, so both sides of this will be exposed, be seen. This goes back to the wall, we'll have a rebate in it for the back. This is the back that sits on, this is the right hand side that sits on the right hand side and has the rebate built into the depth of it. There'll be a 25mm top on here, and then we've got an upright which is 700. Then there's a 25mm fixed shelf there that will sit against, and then down here, and then down at this end we're going to have a 500mm that a fixed the first fixed shelf is at 500mm. So we want a row of holes to start here, take a break around the centre fixed shelf, and then continue up to here. Middle bit probably, because you don't want a very short shelf. All the measurements have got to be done from the front edge because of the rebate, because these are different depths. And when I come to do the pinholes for the divider, I've got to pack that out by 25mm. So yeah, plenty to think about. One of the things I've started doing when I know I've got to stop and start like this, rows of holes, I put a little bit of black tape, or any tape really, just to make sure you don't go past the section where you're supposed to be not doing pinholes. It's just a little, I could probably use a Sharpie or something, but it's just a little visual reference to make sure I don't screw things up again.
With everything set up, I can rattle through the shelf pins, first on the 25mm outer carcasses, then the 12mm inner carcasses. The shelf pin holes are only 6mm deep, so we don't need to worry about punching through to the other side. And finally, we can drill the shelf pin holes in the upright dividers. Note that I'm using a scrap of 25mm MDF to offset the starting point, and not forgetting that we need to drill both sides of each upright. Now we can turn our attention to the central fixed shelf with staggered dividers, and here I'm cutting 18mm birch ply and 6mm MRMDF for the bottom shelf to width. Next we use one of the upper shelves to measure the length, extending this by 12mm with an offcut so that the bottom shelf will bear against the centre uprights.
So this is our shelf. This is it upside down. We're going to have an MDF piece over this. Why aren't I using a piece of 25mm birch ply? I haven't got any. So this is fine. It's plenty stiff enough, strong enough. Obviously this overhangs this a little bit to give ourselves a little scrap somewhere. God. To give ourselves space to get that 1/4 inch 6mm back in there. Yeah, and all we're going to do is use some glue and just glue the two together. I'm just going to use a foam roller to spread it out a bit. It's a good trick I saw in a workshop tips video once. Don't know whatever happened to that guy.
With the glue evenly spread across the two faces, then mated together, then the air squeezed out with a hard rubber roller from an art shop, before being pressed flat with the time-honoured technique of anything heavy that you have to hand. Paint pots and a lump of steel box section in my case, but a sack of potatoes or a few bricks would work just as well.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is I've got the, oh, where are we? Okay, it's the centre section shelf with the staggered dividers. And I've done the laminated plywood and MDF bottom shelf. I've made that a little bit wider because I want that to sit onto the side sections so that it's got a little bit of physical support there, yes? And so it's not just sort of hanging in space relying on glue and dominoes and screws to keep it in place. And what I've got to do, obviously, I've got to rebate the top sides so that that fits in. I need to take 6mm out of each side, and I'm just doing it on here because it's easy, because I can't get to the router bench small workshop woes again. So I'm just going to run a quick shallow pass on this. The bit isn't big enough to do it in one hit, so I'll do it in 2 bites, but I'll just do a 3mm pass to start with, just to see how that goes, and fingers crossed it'll all be okay. I think it's probably safe to say that's not quite the dust-free routing experience any of us were quite expecting, is it? Jeez. Okay, so I said there was quite a lot going on in this job. I've just cut the centre sections down from the 12mm insides for the bookcase, and I've just rebaited them for the bottom shelf. This is the this is the right hand bookcase, but the left hand side, the 12mm, because it's got the rows of holes in it, and that's facing front. And this is the bit that we just cut off from the centre on the right, so that can be glued to there. Because what will then happen is, this is the right hand side with the shelf in it, which will slot in like so and be glued and clamped. But I need to, I don't know if you can see from there, but this is effectively, it's got a rebate on it, because this is deeper than this. Because this is going back to the wall, but this will have a back to it. So what I need to do, because this was cut from that, I need to trim this back to this depth, because it'll both have a back on it. That'll totally work, and absolutely nothing can go wrong with this. Oh, no.
I use the same gluing techniques to glue these surfaces together, adding some headless pins into the mix before clamping up the front edge firmly and setting everything aside to dry. Now it's back to the central fixed shelf unit, and I'm cutting the Domino mortises in the bottom shelf for the central divider using the back of a guide rail as reference. And as the divider needs to be centred, I'm making a test cut in a scrap of 25mm MDF. And once happy with the location, then cutting the mortises in the divider, and dry fitting the bottom section, before marking out the next level up and repeating the process using sliding squares to mark the domino positions accurately.
So, all things considered, then that's half bad. You see that from there? Just about? You see it better that way, can't you? Little square. Almost needs a bit of straightening up at the sides, but that's alright. Yeah. I think that's the last of the messy stuff. So we can start painting.